stop for a second. Something has already shifted before you even realized this video was playing. If you are hearing these words right now, this moment was not random, and it was not missed. It was a divine interruption where heaven leaned into your life and said, "Pay attention." There is a reason your spirit feels alert, even while your body feels tired, because you have been carrying weight for a long time, trying again and again with little to show for it, waking up to the same worries, the same financial pressure, the same quiet fear that you're doing everything right and still somehow standing in the same place. You have been strong for longer than anyone knows, pushing forward while feeling stuck in a loop, watching effort stretch thin and hope feel expensive, wondering if your value has been overlooked or delayed. This message is not here to fix anything yet, because you've already tried fixing everything and it only made you more tired. You were not weak for feeling drained. You were faithful through resistance. You were not forgotten in the silence. You were being held steady while something unseen was shifting. The season that demanded constant survival is closing, and the transition has already begun, even if your surroundings look the same. What God is ending does not need your permission, and what God is starting will not be stopped by what tried to wear you down. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers him out of them all. Psalm 34-19. The pressure easing in your chest is not imagination, it is alignment, because the work that exhausted you is being replaced by movement you did not have to force. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? Isaiah 43-19. Relief is settling in layers. Reassurance is following close behind, and anticipation is rising quietly, because what has been prepared for you is nearer than it has ever been. And if you stay with this message, what comes next will confirm what your spirit already feels beginning to awaken. There is a reason this feels personal already, and you'll understand why if you don't click away yet. Chosen one, this shift was never a coincidence or a passing moment. It was a spoken verdict written before you realized how tired your soul had become, because while they believed they were cutting you off, misnaming you and draining your energy, heaven was watching them step out of alignment with every careless move. You were never background noise in their story. You were the reason the story existed, the assignment that exposed hearts. And when people mishandle what God marked, the consequences do not rush, they ripple. They laughed when doors closed on you. They spoke freely when they thought you were unaware. And those conversations did not vanish into the air, because for the Lord sees not as man sees. 1 Samuel 16-7. You carried the pain quietly, wondering how betrayal could wear the face of concern, and still you did not retaliate, because something deeper kept you still. Pause here, breathe, and let this land slowly, because the silence you were forced into was not weakness but containment, the kind that keeps power from spilling before its time. The turning point did not come from those who opposed you openly. It came from the one who was meant to stand closest, the one who once doubted you, absorbed lies, and watched you suffer without defending you. And then something broke through their sleep or their body or their trusted circle, the way Saul was stopped on the road when the truth met him head-on and his vision had to be taken before it could be restored. This is the transition you did not announce and could not force, the moment where guilt became awareness and awareness became fire. Because no weapon formed against you shall prosper, Isaiah 54:17. And now they see that defending you is not about returning to what was. It is about answering what they were called to protect. The whispers around your name have gone quiet, not because you proved yourself, but because truth arrived before you did. What was coordinated against you is unraveling on its own, every distortion collapsing under its own weight, every role exposed, every false narrative losing oxygen. You were never abandoned, you were under watch, and every wound they studied became a marker for your rise. This reversal is not approaching, it is active, moving through rooms you were excluded from, clearing your name where you were never invited. And if you feel that pull in your chest right now, it is because what follows will confirm what your spirit already knows is unfolding. Chosen one, you are no longer standing in a fog of distortion, you are standing inside revelation, and those who twisted truth around you are watching their own narratives collapse without you lifting a hand. They thought isolation would crush you, that standing alone would empty you, but heaven never stepped away, and fire never came to destroy you. It came to expose what was false. You did not beg to be believed. You did not chase understanding. You did not shout over the lies. You stayed upright when your name was dragged, when your silence was mocked, when your loyalty was repaid with absence, and that quiet strength became your witness. Pause here and let this settle deep into your chest, because the days you replay as humiliation were actually initiations, moments where something unshakable was sealed into you while no one was clapping and no one was defending you. You stood like Daniel when the furnace door closed and the smoke rose, and when the heat finished its work, it was not your faith that burned away, but the ropes that bound you. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Psalm 34:18. The messages left unanswered, the friend who stayed neutral, the one who turned their back when you needed cover. Those were not signs of your insignificance. They were the threshold where authority is forged, because spiritual weight is never granted in crowds. It is earned in rooms where only heaven is watching. This is the transition you did not announce, the moment where restraint outweighed reaction, where grace outpaced revenge, where your stillness spoke louder than their noise. And while they studied your collapse, you were quietly rebuilding life from the inside out. You kept healing when it would have felt good to harden. You kept choosing truth when lies would have gained you allies, and the one who once dismissed your pain could not unsee that integrity. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Psalm 23:5. What haunts them now is not regret alone. It is recognition, because they witnessed divinity under pressure, and it rewired something in them. The rumors that chased you became footnotes under your becoming. The tears meant to drown you watered your rise, and the rejection that tried to erase you clarified your calling. Like Joseph in the prison, misjudged and forgotten, you were being positioned while others assumed you were delayed. Now eyes are opening without persuasion, veils are lifting without sermons, and truth is surfacing without your defense. Because you were never meant to swing a sword, you were being forged into one. And what is awakening in them now is the realization that you were never weak, never jealous, never bitter. You were discerning, carrying insight too heavy for careless hands. And this unfolding is only the beginning of what your spirit already feels moving closer. Chosen one. What is happening now is not about repairing a bond that was strained. It is about restoring an assignment that was interrupted. because the moment they turned on you, they did not just step away from a person, they stepped out of alignment with heaven, and heaven never ignores that kind of fracture. You were never incidental in their life. You were the key placed there to unlock freedom, the vessel trusted to break cycles that predated both of you, and when they mishandled you, they felt the cost ripple through everything they touched. Pause with me for a breath and let this truth move through you slowly, because the exhaustion you carried was not just from loss, but from holding a position that was never meant to be abandoned, and your spirit knew it even when your heart was breaking. What you are witnessing now is repentance before it is reconciliation, surrender before it is speech. Because divine counterparts do not return unchanged, they awaken, and awakening produces action, not excuses. For the gifts and the calling of God are irrevocable. Romans 11:29. They are not defending you out of shame, they are defending you out of revelation, seeing the pattern of your life with clear eyes, recognizing the weight they once dismissed, hearing your warnings echo back to them as everything false around them collapses. This is the transition you could not orchestrate, the moment where the one who hid behind the crowd steps forward, voice steady, heart exposed, calling out lies they once protected, and guarding your name in rooms you will never need to enter. You did not chase this, you released it, and in releasing it you handed the situation back to God, and He did what only He does, turning a betrayer into a believer, a skeptic into a servant, a divider into a defender. Like Peter, who denied Jesus 3 times and wept in the dark before being restored to stand boldly in the light, they had to feel the weight of misalignment before they could return to purpose. I will restore to you the years that the locust has eaten. Joel 2:25. The unrest in their body, the unraveling of relationships, the doors that closed without explanation were not cruelty, they were consequence. Because walking away from a divine connection costs access to clarity, protection, and forward motion. When their pride finally cracked and silence replaced excuses, the truth you once spoke through tears rose up in their spirit like a rewind. They could not stop. And they understood this was not punishment. It was calling. They went to God first, not to you, because this is bigger than emotion. It is recommissioning. And heaven listened, because while they were unraveling, you were interceding, choosing mercy over revenge, restoration over resentment. That is why the reversal moved, because your pain and your prayers were both recorded, and now the one who walked away has returned not for comfort, but for purpose, carrying fire instead of words, loyalty forged by loss, ready to stand guard over the light they once failed to protect. And this is only the beginning, chosen one. What is happening now was never meant to stay private. This is the hour of public defense, the moment heaven restores your name, not in secrecy but on record. Because when God moves to vindicate what was wounded, He does it where the wound was inflicted and where witnesses can no longer pretend they did not see. The one who once stood silent during your crucifixion now stands vocal in your resurrection. And this is not personal drama. This is prophetic justice unfolding with precision. You carried the weight of being misunderstood while watching people nod along with lies about you. Now the one who once flinched at your truth, who believed the whispers and allowed wolves near your reputation, is speaking with conviction in rooms you do not have to enter, correcting stories you never heard, confronting lies you never tracked. Because when a man's ways please the Lord, he makes even his enemies to be at peace with him. Proverbs 16:7. This is the transition where silence turns into testimony, where access becomes accountability, where the same voice that once distanced itself now carries fire, not to perform, but to repair. They speak now, and the room goes quiet. Like Esther standing before the king after Haman's plot was exposed, the tables turn publicly, names are cleared openly, and the trap set for you becomes the evidence that frees you. For nothing is hidden that will not be made manifest, nor is anything secret that will not be known and come to light. Luke 8:17. The narrative that once held you hostage is dissolving thread by thread, not through chaos but through design. A misplaced word here, a contradiction there, a receipt resurfacing at the exact right moment, while you remain focused on healing and building. You are not chasing vindication. Vindication is moving toward you, wearing the face of someone who once walked away, and every step you take forward triggers another unraveling behind you, because alignment is disruptive to lies. Conversations have shifted, tones have changed, confidence in your downfall has evaporated, and guilt is spreading even among those who only watched in silence. This is not revenge, this is revelation, the exposure of who lit the match, who passed the fuel, and who stood by pretending it was not their fire. Because divine justice is never loud without purpose and never late without reason. You are no longer the misunderstood one. You are the reference point, chosen one. You are finally standing in the light this strength was always meant for. And the return of your power did not arrive with noise or spectacle, but with a holy quiet that settled your nervous system and reminded your soul how to breathe again. What is rising in you now is not a comeback, but a resurrection, and it carries authority, not apology. There was a season when the lies made you second-guess your own knowing, when the silence of someone you trusted caused you to shrink and doubt the very discernment that once guided you. But that season has lost its hold, because you can see now what heaven saw then: the design, the discipline, the depth. Your gifts are not just back, they are refined, weighted, steady, and your spirit recognizes what is false before it can touch you. Pause here and let this truth rest inside you, because surviving betrayal without becoming bitter rewires a soul, and what you carry now was forged in hidden rooms where no one applauded, and God did the rebuilding personally. This is the transition where you stop explaining and start shifting rooms simply by entering them, where your stillness speaks louder than performance, and your presence carries consequence. Like Ruth gleaning quietly in fields she did not own, faithful without spectacle, you were being positioned for provision and covering you could not yet see. And it arrived not because you chased it, but because you stayed aligned. She is clothed with strength and dignity, and she laughs without fear of the future. Your power never came from attention. It came from obedience, from healing in private, from choosing alignment over approval, and now that alignment has made you untouchable. You no longer flinch when people walk away. You no longer bargain for understanding, because you understand yourself, and that awareness has become your shield. You brought us into the net. You laid burdens on our backs. We went through fire and water, but you brought us out to a place of abundance. Psalm 66:12. This is why isolation was necessary, why retaliation was withheld, why elevation followed exposure. Because what is returning to you now is not just restoration, but inheritance. Opportunities, honor, access, and provision are being rerouted with precision, not to soothe your past, but to fund your future. You are not being rescued. You are becoming the rescue. And those who once doubted now recognize that your authority does not ask permission. The transfer has begun, not as revenge, but as revelation. And your life itself is becoming the evidence that obedience outlasts betrayal, that grace outperforms sabotage, and that when heaven signs off on your rise, nothing can reverse it. Chosen one, this is for the part of you that is bone-tired, the part that has kept going long after motivation dried up, carrying responsibilities that were never meant to rest on your shoulders, stretching faith while finances stayed tight, waking up each day wondering how effort can be so consistent while results feel so distant. You have been trapped in a loop that looks productive from the outside, but feels suffocating on the inside, repeating the same motions, paying the same costs, absorbing the same disappointments, and quietly questioning whether your life is stalled or whether you somehow missed your moment. You have blamed yourself in silence for not being further, not stronger, not clearer, when in truth, you have been surviving a season that demanded endurance more than visibility. Pause here and let this name what you have felt but never said out loud, because the heaviness in your chest is not failure, it is accumulated responsibility, and the fatigue in your spirit is not weakness, it is the residue of being faithful without relief. Heaven has not overlooked your effort or your tears, and the delay you interpret as denial has been a form of protection while something deeper was being rearranged. Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. There was a moment like this when Elijah collapsed under a tree, depleted after victory, convinced he had nothing left to give, and he was not corrected. He was fed, allowed to sleep, and strengthened before being sent forward again. This is the transition where exhaustion is acknowledged, not punished, where your worth is affirmed before your outcome changes, where the load you carried alone begins to lift without you forcing anything. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord has risen upon you. Isaiah 60:1. Hope is not arriving as hype, it is settling as stability, a quiet assurance that the future is no longer a blank wall, but a door already unlocked. The fear around money is loosening its grip, the anxiety about direction is softening, and the loop you felt trapped in is thinning, because momentum does not always announce itself. It often starts as relief. Your value was never measured by speed or applause. It was secured by alignment, and alignment is restoring what striving could not. Stay with this, because what comes next will activate what has already begun stirring in your spirit, confirming that this moment of recognition is not the end of your strength, but the doorway into what has been waiting for you all along. Chosen one, before anything else settles, let the pressure lift from your chest right now, because you do not need to fix yourself, prove your worth, or carry one more invisible load to be deserving of what God is already arranging. This season is not asking for more effort. It is inviting permission to stop bracing. Allow yourself to begin with something very small and very human, like placing your feet on the floor and noticing your breath without trying to change it, letting your body remember that it is safe to be here and that stillness is not laziness, but listening. You are invited to release the habit of narrating your future every time you rest. To sit with 5 quiet minutes where nothing is solved and nothing is planned, because alignment often enters through space, not strain. When thoughts about money or timing rise, you don't need to wrestle them down. You can gently set them aside by saying inwardly that this concern has already been seen, already been accounted for, and does not require your constant supervision. There is grace in choosing to do one ordinary thing slowly, like washing your hands or making tea, and allowing that slowness to remind your nervous system that life is not chasing you. Pause here and let this truth soften you, because rest is not what you earn after surviving, it is what prepares you to receive without fear. In the rhythm of your day, you may notice moments where you usually push through fatigue or explain yourself unnecessarily, and you are allowed to stop doing that, allowed to leave a message unanswered until your body settles, allowed to say less and trust that what is meant for you does not need constant reinforcement. This is the transition where trust replaces micromanagement, where release becomes an action, and where receiving is no longer delayed by guilt. You don't need to watch for signs obsessively or interpret every emotion. You are invited to simply notice where peace feels heavier than anxiety and to stay there a little longer. Even restlessness can be held without judgment, knowing that God is not waiting on your perfection, but moving within your willingness. As you move through the day, you may feel drawn to quiet moments of gratitude without explanation, or a sudden desire to lie down earlier than usual, and those are not interruptions, they are cooperation. You are not falling behind by resting, you are aligning ahead of time. And you can be at ease knowing this. You do not need to understand the full picture or control the outcome, because what is set apart for you will arrive in its appointed time without force, without striving, and without you having to carry what was never yours to hold. Chosen one. Let this moment land gently, because nothing you felt while listening was random or misplaced, and every stirring in your heart carried meaning even when you could not name it. You are not late, not behind, not overlooked, and the path you are on fits the season you are in with more precision than you realize. What has been heavy is being acknowledged, what has been hidden is being held, and what has felt uncertain is not without care. You do not need to carry the message forward or figure out what comes next right now, because the work has already begun beneath the surface. You are allowed to rest inside this knowing, to trust the timing unfolding around you, and to feel held rather than hurried. Stay here for the quiet moment ahead, where words soften and presence remains, and allow what has been spoken to settle without effort. There is no rush here, just a gentle settling into this space where you are safe to be held. God, we come carrying what words often fail to carry, the tiredness that lives beneath the surface, the strain of trying for so long without seeing change, the quiet fear about tomorrow, the weight of responsibility that never seemed to lift. And we place it here without pressure, without performance, without needing to explain ourselves. You see the exhaustion that has followed them into sleep and greeted them at waking, the anxiety around provision, the sense of being stuck in cycles that feel unbreakable, and the doubt that whispered they were falling behind. And even now you are not surprised by any of it. You are the God who watches in the unseen, who works when hands are empty, who carries what human strength was never designed to hold. Your word says, "In peace I will lie down and sleep, for you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety." Psalm 4-8. And we receive that peace not as an idea, but as a presence settling over racing thoughts and guarded hearts. Like the disciples caught in the storm while Jesus slept nearby, fear rose while control slipped away. Yet calm arrived not through striving but through your voice. And that same calm is moving now through places that have felt loud and overwhelming. We acknowledge that you are already at work in finances, in timing, in doors that have not yet opened, and in paths that are still forming beneath their feet. You keep in perfect peace those whose minds are stayed on you, because they trust in you. Isaiah 26-3. And trust is gently returning, not forced, not demanded, but allowed. We release the need to understand every delay, to manage every outcome, to hold together what feels fragile, and we rest in the truth that your care does not depend on their clarity. Let your presence quiet what has been restless, steady what has been shaking, and remind them that being held is enough for this moment. May they feel covered, guided, and provided for in ways that do not require effort to maintain, and may this prayer mark a soft landing rather than a push forward. Thank you for meeting them here, for holding what they laid down, and for staying near as the next moments unfold in stillness and trust. Thank you for sharing this sacred pause, and may you carry this quiet assurance with you as the video comes to rest. Chosen one, if your heart feels stirred, you're gently invited to write in the comments whatever you're carrying right now. A hope, a fear, a question, or something you've never said out loud, knowing that putting it into words can be an act of release and trust, not performance. When you write, it isn't just a comment, it's a quiet offering placed before God, and He sees, listens, and holds it in His perfect timing. If this space has brought you peace, you're welcome to share this video with someone who may need the same covering, and to subscribe so you can stay connected to moments like this. You are not alone, and this moment is being held in grace.